Welcome to r/Entitled Kids, where an entitled kid tries to murder OP over Robux. Here's my story, aka why I hate Roblox with all my heart. But first, a bit of background. My mother raised me on her own, as she kicked my dad out of her life and then proceeded to manipulate me into thinking he abandoned me, but that's for another story. 9 years later, she had my little brother, the entitled kid here, with another man who turned out to be an absolute bastard. He threatened to kidnap the kid and had the means to do so. By the means, I mean connections with some foreign mafia and guns. So when we left, not only did my mother have to raise him by herself too, but we also lost all of our friends, which were an important support to us. So we moved to the region where most of my family lives. They're relatively nice to me, but my mother barely gets along with any of them. On top of that, they're racist. My brother is mixed, his father is Senegalese. Cue my mom being completely alone to raise this child. My mom's a teacher, has to pay rent and utilities as well as food for all of our animals. We currently have 2 greyhounds, which are her only moral support, 4 cats, 2 of them are strays, we only adopted 1 half Maine Coon, and 2 fish. The fish are my own, so I care for them all the way. They don't cost a lot, and I pay for most of the expenses. Anyway, 2 children with so many animals is quite a load, but we manage. We just don't have enough money to go on vacations, nor can we afford to spend extra on superficial things. There's a few times where we've been tight around the end of the month, but it's alright. We're happy living that way. That, without mentioning my mom smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day and her alcoholism. I'm bitter about that, but it can't be helped. My brother was diagnosed with dyslexia, ADHD, Tourette's, and Asperger's. You'd expect him to be quite a rowdy kid, which explains most of the behavior I'll tell you guys about. It should be considered normal, I guess, but it's just really tiring. Oh, also, I'm a 17-year-old girl and can't afford to move out yet, which is why I'm still dealing with this BS. Okay, here goes. My little brother spends a lot of time on the computer. It allowed me to bond with him quite a lot, as we'd play TF2 or Minecraft together for hours a day. Eventually, with the time school took away from me, I couldn't play with him anymore, but I still helped him out when it came to picking out new games and tactics. For this Christmas, I helped my mom find him a PS4 and good games, which we could play together again. I also jumped on the occasion to play Detroit and Call of Duty by myself, to be honest, but I thought a Spider-Man game in Overwatch, it's similar to TF2 and he was really good at it, could be quite entertaining for an 8-year-old child. He played for a month or 2, then completely gave up on it for some reason. He didn't even struggle with the commands or anything, it just wasn't his type of game, I guess. I still play on it sometimes when I'm not studying midterms. Anyway, thanks to the PS4, he understood that he could buy things online. Mainly because he witnessed me telling my mom how to purchase PlayStation Plus, which could be useful to play Call of Duty or Overwatch. Which brings us to the reason of his newfound entitlement, Roblox. He's been playing Roblox on the PC for a while, and we had no problems with it. He could barely read at the time, and not write at all without asking us how to spell out some things. So the weird people that might be on this cursed game were not something that worry us too much. My mom had bought him Robux a few times in the past, but nothing that would get too much of his interest. He'd just spend most of his time killing people, or Titans on the bootleg AOT games. This caused me to get him the real deal on PS4, he still hasn't touched it. Or troll on people and get kicked out of the games. It was pretty funny to me. Until the kid figured out how reading worked, approximately. He started interacting with people more frequently, and apparently people would always ask him if he had Robux, or troll him for his unstylish character. My mom and I gave him a talk about how he shouldn't listen to them. I explained to him that they were probably stuck-up preteens that found confidence in virtual currencies and Lego-looking characters that didn't look like them at all, and that made him laugh a lot. We thought he understood how unimportant such things were, and how he's better off not being superficial virtually when we could never afford cool stuff in real life. Fast forward a few weeks, my mother happens to be sick and her illness is fatal. It's also incurable unless she stops smoking, and I've honestly lost faith in that. She had to take some time off work because of that illness, but also because the educational system in France is going straight up bad. She's too tired to bear with her students and with the new programs. This has reduced our income, but at least my mom can get some rest. This also allows my brother to spend more time at home since we live next to the school. He gets bullied quite a lot, so spending lunch break with my mom is good for him. But as I said, we were broke before and now we're even more broke. The tenants of our house are threatening to kick us out because my mom prioritizes feeding us over paying rent. That didn't help with her drinking problem, nor with her addiction to nicotine. I've been working as much as my schedule allows it, and started sneaking a cigarette or two when it got too stressful, just to catch a break. The kid obviously sees how hard it is for both of us and was rather sympathetic about it until recently. He'd always tell us he's proud of us and is grateful there's something to eat every day, and it was really motivating. Until a week or two ago. The kid's reading actually improved a lot thanks to his teacher's new methods, and this was the beginning of our problems. First, he started telling us he got his very first Roblox girlfriend. We thought it was cute. I looked into it, and that kid's ability to write was as awful as my brother's, a match made in heaven. I, of course, looked at their messages quite often since I don't want my brother to be a pedophile's next victim. But then, his Roblox girlfriend dumped him because there was only 5 Robux left in his account. Cue the first fit. First, he stole from my mother's bank account. It's linked to a PayPal so that she could buy things without struggling with putting her card info into the different websites. Terrible idea, I know, but her generation isn't exactly the best with technology, I guess. I always ask her to tell me which site she wants to buy from beforehand so that I can be sure they won't steal her info. I trust Amazon, and so does she, so she does most of her purchases on that. But still, my brother had access to this way of buying things. So he bought the cheapest Robux option. My mother didn't yell at him and explained to him that it was wrong to buy things without asking her beforehand. He argued back that she wouldn't let him have any, so he did what he had to do. Eventually, he seemed to understand that what he did was wrong. But he started asking, and oh boy, the asking went wrong. Worse than anything ever. A week ago, he did ask. We're short on money, so my mother said no. He wasn't happy with that and kept insisting. When the answer was still no, he went ahead and threatened to steal from her again, screaming that if she didn't buy him Robux, he'd get them himself. At this point, she was tired. She asked him why he wanted them so badly, and the only argument he could find was, "Because I want them!" And after a while, it was getting tiring. I stayed in the kitchen and ate my breakfast baguette as if nothing was happening, trying not to let anger get to me. I hate being pissed, and I did not need this on a Saturday morning. Still, I heard a conversation that went like this. My mom said, surprisingly calm, "If you don't stop this right now, I'll be calling your grandparents and you'll be spending the weekend with them." F off, I don't want to stay with those old grunts. Reminder, he's 8, but he has Tourette's. Put this mouse down right now. I will not let you buy these Robux. I want them. I want them. You don't even need them to play. Just what do you want them for? F you, jerk. I do what I want. The exchange kept going this way until the kid tried to throw the PC off the table. At this point, my mom got pissed because we do not have another 500 euros to spend on a new computer she actually needs for work. My brother ran off and upstairs into his room. You'd think it stopped there, but absolutely not. He ruined his bedroom. And by that, I mean he threw bookshelves down onto the floor, threw everything he could find around, emptied his wardrobe on the floor, threw his mattress across the room, thus creating nothing but chaos. That's where it ended that time, but the fits kept happening almost on a daily basis. Yesterday's fit was the worst one until now. The same thing happened, except this time, I was in the living room as well, trying to enjoy a nice sweet cup of coffee while messing around on Twitter. I couldn't care less about his entitlement. I had more important stuff to care about. The little man got really angry and looked for something to take his anger out on, since his room is now looking like Verdun. Literally, it looks like it got bombed overnight or that the FBI raided it, I don't know. It's just too chaotic to be worsened. And well, since I happened to be there, he charged at me. Now, I had my phone in one hand and a cup of boiling hot coffee in the other. Thankfully, I could put down the coffee before he hit me, but I still had the phone, which is my only escape from this hellish household. I hold onto this cheap, Chinese, spying piece of metallic components like I hold onto my dear life. So, of course, I choose to throw it on the other side of the couch rather than protect myself from the incoming kick. I only get one hit in the sides, which got me a nice big bruise before I grab the crazy goblin by the arms and force him down on the floor. I'm thin, and he's not. He's a literal bunch of muscles from all the sport he's been doing aside from his intensive gaming. So I had to work out quite a bit to manage to control him when he freaks out, which is quite often. But these days, it's just not enough. I struggle to keep him down as he screams, kicks, bites, scratches, and flails his arms around like a dang banshee. My mother runs over to help and give his antipsychotic drugs because, yes, he needs those somehow, and we think it's over for the day. He's calmed down and has stopped fighting, and when I let him get up, he goes back to the computer grumbling angrily. But guess what? He tries to steal from my mother again. I don't want to fight the goblin again, so I get my phone and my coffee bag and head to the kitchen, my safe place. It's around 10 a.m. by then, and my friend just woke up, so I'd rather just text her than deal with this demon. I hear him screaming like he's possessed again, and this time my mom yells back. I can't be bothered, I have other stuff to worry about, so I don't interfere. Until I hear angry little feet rushing into the kitchen, and before I know it, the gremlin has a barbecue fork in his hand. Now, this isn't the first time this happened, so I could register everything that's happened. First step, he lunges at me and tries to stab me with that dang fork. For once, I'm thankful it's not a kitchen knife. Yes, he's tried to stab me with a kitchen knife before. Yes, I got a few scars from it. Second step, I use my foot to keep him in a reasonable distance and grab his wrist to stop him from stabbing my leg. I yell so my mom can help. Third step, she finally rushes in to grab him and my survival chances go up again. Fourth step, I have to watch a possessed 8-year-old kid struggle to break free while yelling, "I want to kill her! I want to kill her!" Now, I don't want him to keep screaming, so I grab my mom's PC and run into my room with it. I locked myself up and waited for him to calm down. I took the opportunity to make the kid a new user account on the PC with his own Windows account and stuff. I set it as a children's account so he can't spend money from it. I also changed my mom's password and discussed the issue with her since at this point my well-being and sanity were being threatened over a bunch of Robux. The kid wasn't happy about the change and threw another fit this morning, but this time my mom got him to understand that enough was enough. She threatened to leave him at school for lunch break and for after school hours, and also to leave him at my grandparents' place for the weekend. He cried a lot, but no one was hurt. Fingers are crossed for what might come next. I'm sure that even when she gets her paycheck in, she won't let him buy anything, as she wants him to understand that he isn't entitled to his virtual money. We'll be trying to get him not to take these things for granted, and I feel like it'll be tough. I don't know where he gets his entitlement from, as we've always been a modest family, if not broke. He isn't a spoiled child and should honestly know better. He's a smart kid, so I'm sure he'll learn. I also have to study for midterms in these conditions. Wish me luck. Can't wait to move out. I've never played Roblox, so I have to ask, is this kid typical of the type of people who normally play that game?
Am I the butthole for breaking my Switch because I didn't get the game I wanted? The title seems bad, I know. So I had a few games that I wanted. My mom got all of them but one and decided to get a different game that only she would like, even though the game I wanted was the same price as the game I got. The game she got for herself I hated so much, and it's for like 5-year-olds. So, in the heat of the moment of how much I hate this stupid game, which is a total ripoff, I grabbed my Switch and smashed it on the floor.
Yeah, you know why the title sounds bad? Because the title is bad. What you did was awful. 5 out of 5 buttholes for you. Our next Reddit post is from Lavender Kitsunes. A bit of backstory. My parents got me a pet hedgehog back in March, and ever since he's been my precious baby. His name is Dweller, and he lives in a nice enclosure in my room. This enclosure has a clear plastic door that slides open when you pull the little handle on the outside. Also, we have a lot of animals in our house, which intrigues and/or terrifies everyone who comes over. 9 snakes, 2 geckos, 2 dogs, and, of course, my spiky boy. Now for the story. My mom had one of her friends from college over to drink coffee and talk about life, as moms do. Her friend had brought her kids, a preteen girl, S, and a little boy, Entitled Kid. S and Entitled Kid were playing in the living room with my little sister while I was holed up in my room playing Pokemon Sword. After a while, I hear Entitled Kid coming down the hallway towards my room. He knocked on the door. Although he was a bit of a fool in this story, he at least has manners. I opened up. Hey Entitled Kid, what's up?
My mommy said you have a hedgehog.
Yep, I sure do.
Can I take him out and play with him?
Hedgehogs are nocturnal and they don't like to wake up during the day. It was around 1 p.m. at the time. As expected, my boy gets grumpy if anyone disturbs his slumber. Personally, I can take a few stabs from my Hedgie when he gets really pissed. But Entitled Kid was young and I didn't want him to get hurt and freak out, potentially hurting my little buddy. So I say, sorry, he sleeps during the day and gets really grumpy when I wake him up.
But I want to see the little Sonic.
Honestly, this was kind of adorable.
Your mommy said I could.
Well, I can let you take a quick look at him, but we can't get him out or touch him. Entitled Kid seemed satisfied with this, so I opened the cage and carefully moved aside the t-shirt my Hedgie slept under. My spiky son is already a little pissed because the movement and voices woke him up, so he starts huffing and hissing. Nevertheless, Entitled Kid stares at him in awe for a bit, then starts to reach for my son. Hey, don't touch him please, his quills stick up when he's mad and you could get hurt.
But your mommy said I could pet him. I want to pet him now.
Before I can react, Entitled Kid ends up touching the hedgehog and trying to pet him. Spiky Son immediately gets upset and rams the side of his body into Entitled Kid's hand. As mentioned before, hedgehogs curl up when they're upset, causing their quills to stick up and deliver maximum pain. Entitled Kid lets out a scream and jumps back, then notices his hand bleeding, causing him to scream even louder. I panic and quickly let my boy go back to sleep and shut the cage door. In the meantime, Entitled Kid has run to the kitchen and is screaming bloody murder to his mom.
Mommy, the hedgehog attacked me!
I rush in behind Entitled Kid after a moment and guide him to the sink to clean his wound, and his mother comes to help. I'm so sorry. I tried to warn him not to touch Dweller while he's asleep. I'm so sorry. His mother reassures me that it wasn't my fault and warns her son to be more careful with animals. Entitled Kid is sobbing, but once his wound was treated and he got a cookie, he was fine. I think he's scared of my Hedgie now though. Moral of the story, never mess with a sleepy hedgehog. That was r/Entitled Kids, and unless you want me to sick an Entitled Kid on you, you had better hit the subscribe button.